Okay, hello guys, I am the visitor and I'm back again. As you know, for every tutorial that we make, we always deal with the exercises so that we try and wrap up whatever that we have learned in the previous tutorial. So in this third tutorial, I'll be looking at those exercises which will be summarizing the entire explanations of what I've been telling you about in tutorial 2. Now I do not have the actual slides for this, but well, I'm going to use this video, and then we're just going to solve those exercises. It just gives you the exercises, and then I'll be just pausing here and there so that we can deal with those exercises. Right, me bring in the compiler and try to understand what the question requires. Right, it says to us, write a program that reads an integer number from the user. Make use of conditional operators to determine and display the following. This is exactly what we dealt with in the second tutorial. We looked at those conditional operators, and then we saw if the conditions are met, this is the standard in which things are executed. Now let me just go right into the compiler and try to solve exercise 1. Write a program that reads an integer number from the user. Let's just stop there. All right, here I am in the compiler. So let me just say exercises for tutorial 2. Right, and then we'll be looking at exercise 1. Okay, right, we read an integer. We read an integer from the user. All right, we know how to prompt the user. Console dot write or dot write line. You know why we're saying that. Enter an integer number. The user might enter in an alphabet. You know how sometimes confused we can be. Right, console.writeLine, please enter an integer. So it's an int, so I'll just say int number equals convert dot to int 16 console dot readline. All right, remember, read, convert, and store. Now what must happen? Make use of conditional operators to determine and display the following. Is the number equals to 0, true or false? Is the number greater than 50, true or false? Is the number between 100 and 200, true or false? Is the number even, true or false? Is the number a multiple of 5, true or false? And then we've been provided with some hint. A number is even when you divide it by 2 and the remainder is 0. We dealt with the modulus in the second tutorial. That shouldn't be a problem. A number is a multiple of 5 if you divide it by 5 and the remainder is 0. Right. Is the number equal to 0, true or false? Now we're going to use conditional operators, which we learned the if statements. Right, so I'm gonna come here and say if number is the number equals to 0. If number equals 0, then I want to say console dot write line. I want to print out a true. Right, this is what is provided for me. Is the number equals to 0? If the number is equals to 0, then I will have that true. Right. Is the number greater than 50, true or false? Okay, right, I'll have if number is greater than 50, is the number greater than 50 true or false? So I'll just copy and paste. And then is the number between 100 and 200? If number is okay, let's say less or equal to 100, and remember we're using the AND operator because this is a conditional operator, and also it is in range. We are looking at in range, so we'll be using the AND. If we're looking at out of range, we will be using the OR. So number is the number, sorry, let me check, is the number between 100, so we should say the number should be greater, the number should be greater than 100, and number should be smaller than 200. So let's check if this is in range. Right, number greater than 100, that is from 101, number less than 200, 199. So yes, this is in range, and remember it must be between this and that, so I cannot have the equal here. Right, that is to say 100 and 200 are not included, so we want to output a true or a false. Right, and then we come, is the number even, true or false? So if number mod 2 is equals to 0, then it will tell us, because there is a hint that is provided. A number is even when you divide it by 2 and the remainder is 0. So that is why I am compiling it like this. It will take that number and say mod 2. If the remainder is a 0, because it's an even number, then it will type in true, and then if it is not, then it will not compile. Right, is the number a multiple of 5? A number is a multiple of 5 if you divide it by 5 and the remainder is 0. Alright, so I'll say if number mod 5 equals 0, then let me just have that. Alright, now that I have my entire code, the entire exercise 1 has been dealt with. Now let's go to the compiler and check. Suppose we want to find a number that will satisfy all these conditions. All of them, we want all of them to be printed out. So if number equals 0, it's true. If number is greater than 50, and so on. So suppose we want to first make this one a true. Right, it will come here. So if, for example, I say 0, I only want to print out the first one. So if I have 0 here, it will make a printout. Is 0 greater than 50? No, it will not. Is 0 between 100 and 200? No, it will not. If number mod 2 equals 0, so now here I'll be having 0 mod 2. A smaller number, how many times does it goes into a bigger number? How many times does it go into a smaller number? We always said a bigger number will be returned. That's what we said. And then number mod 5. So when we take 0, that is a bigger number, into a smaller number, a bigger number will be returned. And then we want to see if we type in 0, how many statements will be executed. Now, because we know, for example, that more than one condition here it's a true, so we are using those stacked if statements. That is what we said in the second tutorial. Now let me run this, and then I'm going to press in a 0. Then I have those 3 trues. Right, suppose I want to know which ones have been made true. So let me just say this one will be the first one, this one will be the second one, this one will be the third one, this one would be the fourth one, and this one would be the fifth one. I want to check why, so enter an integer and then I say 0. The first, the fourth, and the fifth one were executed. Let's check. The first one, we know it's a true, it will execute. Let's look at the fourth one. Now I have 0 mod 2. What is 0 mod 2? That will provide you with a 0, so it will print a true. What is 0 mod 5? That is a 0. The remainder, it's a 0, so it will print a true. Please be very careful here. You want to say 0 mod 2. That is to say, how many times does 2 goes into 0? It goes 0 times and the remainder is 0. Therefore, it prints. How many times does 5 goes into 0? It goes 0 times and the remainder is 0. Therefore, it prints that one. So that is why you have 1, 4, and 5. Why 2 and 3 were not printed out? Now, let's check. Is 0 greater than 5? No, it will jump out. It's 0 between 100 and 200? No, it will jump out. So that is why 2 and 3 were not executed. Alright. Now suppose now I want to check for a number that is in range. I want to insert, for example, a number. Suppose the user types in 199. 199. It is in range. Now 2 and 3 are printed out. Now let's check 2. It's 199 greater than 50. Yes, that is true. Therefore, it will print out the second one. The third one, it's 199 between 100 and 200. Yes, it will. Right, we come here. It's 199 mod 2. Is the remainder 0? No. No. So it will not print in 4. It's 199 mod 5 equals 0. No, it will not also print 5. So 4 and 5 will not be printed out. Even 1 will not be printed out. Only 2 and 3 will be printed out. Right. Having dealt with that and believing that you have understood, let us now go into the exercise 2. Implement a program that will read an integer representing a test score from a user. Make use of single alternative selection structure to display pass if the test score is greater or equals to 50. Alright, still prompting in the user here. Alright, so I'm just simply going to comment this one. But I'm also going to copy this one, and then I'm going to do this, and then here I'll say end of exercise 1, and then just do this, and then have a space. Alright, I'm still doing what? I'm still reading an integer from the user, and then make use of single alternative selection structure to display pass if the test score is greater or equals to 50. We dealt with single alternative selections, which is the if statement. So I'll say if it is greater, if the test score is greater or equals to 50. So if number it's greater or equals to 50, then what is it that I want to print out to the console? I want to say pass, so I simply want to say console dot write line you've parsed. Right, now let me go and check. Suppose the user enters the right number, which is 50, it will say you've parsed. And then what if the user enters a number bigger than 50, maybe 300, because there is no range here, it will still say you've parsed. Right, let me go back to this. Implement representing an integer test score from a user. So here we are not told exactly what the test score, the total mark for that test was. So we will just assume that okay, the test was out of any number that the user can enter. Right, but what if now the user wants maybe enters a number that is smaller than 50? Suppose the user enters in 49, we know that it will not compile. It will go straight and say press any key to continue, because there is no any other code here that must run, so it will just say press any key to continue. All right, that was exercise 2. Let's now look at the exercise 3. Well, in exercise 3 and exercise 4, we will be looking at the following. So this was just a short exercise, so let's just come here and say and exercise 2. Right, let's read what exercise 3 requires. Implement a program that will accept an integer representing a test score. We have already dealt with exercise 3. Sorry, we have already dealt with exercise 3. No, that was exercise 2. I'm sorry. Now we are in exercise 3. Right. Implement a program that accepts an integer representing a test score from a user. Make use of dual alternative selection, that is the if-else statement. If the test score is greater or equals to 50, or fail otherwise. Right, now in exercise 3, we're accepting an integer from the user, so why not just paste and do this, and then come here and say if number, now let's go and check the condition now, must be greater or equals to 50. If number is greater or equals 50, then I want you to say copy and paste okay, you've parsed, else paste you have failed. So please be careful here. Implement a program that will accept an integer representing a test score from a user. Make use of the dual alternative selection structure to display pass if the test score is greater or equals to 50, or fail otherwise. So the if else, that's what we call the dual. If this condition is not met, therefore that one will, no matter what, execute. Now suppose for the first time the user enters the correct number 50, you've parsed, and the second test you get it enters a number 49, and then we will have that you have failed. All right, that was exercise 3. We will be looking at exercise 4. So let me just comment this. And read loudly exercise 4. Right, write a program that reads an integer number from the user. Make use of a dual alternative selection structure to display even if the number is even, otherwise display an odd. Right, still accepting a number from the user. Right, I'm still going to use those numbers, so that is just to say if number mod 2 equals 0, let me check, even otherwise odd equals 0, so I'll just say console dot write line number is even, and then it says to us here otherwise odd, so else copy and paste number is odd. All right, now let's run this and check if it will compile. Suppose for the first time I enters in a correct number, maybe I say 0, number is even, or maybe I say 100, number is even, that is correct, and then I type in 1, number is odd, or I type in 70, I type in 70, number is odd. So that's all we had to do for exercise 4. And exercise 3 and exercise 4. Right, and then we go to exercise 5 and so on. Right, in exercise 5 we are provided with something that will keep our mind occupied and busy. So write a C# program that reads a 3 integer test score mark from the user that represents a class test, main test, and a practical mark of a student. Calculate the course mark according to the following formula. Your program needs to display the following: class test, main test, practical, and the course mark. All right, let me prompt the user. I don't think we have to go any far. We just copy and then we paste. Right, so there are 3 things that we need to prompt the user for. Right, calculate the course mark according to the following formula. So we will just say maybe the first class test was out of class test 25, 50, practical we'll also say maybe 50, and then we will calculate the course mark. Right, let me just be very clear here. Enter a mark, enter a mark for class test. And then I'll just copy and do. I'll just copy and paste. Right, so I'll say here class test, and then here I will prompt for main test, and then I'll come in here and say main test, and then lastly a practical test. Right, there I have them. Those are 3 prompts. Right, I want us to look at something also here. What if the user, okay, class test will be, we assume it will be an integer, main test also an integer, practical also an integer, but the course mark has to return a double. Integer by double, it's a double. Integer by a double, it's a double. So my course mark has to be a double. So just come here and say double course mark. So my course mark will be equals to, I've been provided with the formula, class test times 0.25 times 0.25 plus main test 0.4 practical 0.35. Right, and as you can see that my course mark has no problem in storing this, because a int by a double will return a double, and a course mark, since it is a double, has no problem with that. And we will get a double here, because remember, int by double, it's a double. But if it was a double and it had to return, and there are only ints here, then it will return an int even though it is a double. We dealt with that in the second tutorial. Alright, now what is it that I want to display? Your program needs to display the following: class test, main test, practical, and course mark. Alright, let me just do this. Console dot write line class test let me do, are there any colons? Yes. Plus I'm going to use concat class test, and then I'm just going to copy, paste, and then I have my main test plus main test. Okay, let me just do some spaces here. And then I'll have my practical mark, practical, okay, and then I'll have my practical, and then I'll have my course mark, and then I'll have my mark. Right, okay, let's run this and check. So we said, okay, for class test we're going to say it was out of 25. Enter a mark for main test, we're going to say it was 50, enter a mark for practical test. Let's also make it 25. Class test 25, main test 50, practical mark 25, course mark it's 25. All right. That was exercise 1 until exercise 5, which wraps up what we did in a little bit of first tutorial and main of tutorial number 2. So thanks a lot for your time, guys. I will see you in the next tutorial.